Hi, everybody, and welcome to Experts Dig In with Doggies for Dementia. I am Carmen DeValis, and I am the founder of Doggies for Dementia Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And our whole mission is to support people impacted by dementia and their families. And we do this with education as well as sharing their stories. And we come from a place of compassion and kindness and love. And our photographs show that. That's why we include dogs in our photos. Because suddenly, when there's a dog, we just forget about having to be anything but ourselves, which is just perfect. And that's the way we teach the world all about people who have dementia. We truly believe we can have a much kinder, wonderful world and reduce that stigma. And this is our video blog with experts. And today's expert, I know she gets nervous about that, is Arthena Caston. She's not just an expert, she is a superstar in the world of Alzheimer's, and had no idea that it would come to that. And welcome, Arthena.
Hey there. Hello, Carmen. How are you today?
Oh, wonderful. I have been so looking forward to this interview because true confession, we met last week at a Zoom call, and it was just love at first sight and first talk. And yeah, it was just delightful. And I'm so excited to have you on the program. And I want you to show the audience what you just showed me a few minutes ago, your pamphlet. It's just more proof of what the superstar that you are.
I am so excited because I got put on the face of an Alzheimer's pamphlet. I am so excited.
You know what? I'm going to break out the pom-poms for that. Yes. Yeah. So everyone who signs up for the longest day, which is a campaign with the Alzheimer's Association, you're going to see Arthena. So that is so wonderful. And we're going to talk about some big topics today. One in particular, not everyone is familiar with early onset Alzheimer's and what that's about. One of the big assumptions out there is that Alzheimer's disease affects only older people. And that's not the case, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Excuse my doggies, because I do have two dogs and they like to bark.
Do they? I think mine were barking during the introduction. So
they are barking. I am going to have to put them in the room and shut them down. But anyway,
it's okay.
I have I'm sorry, what did you ask me, Carmen? I got off on something else.
Well, we can begin with, when were you first diagnosed? How old?
Okay, I was actually 51. It was March 23rd of 2016. So I'm going into my 5th year, and I'm just living life joyfully with Alzheimer's every day. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I do every single day.
Every single day, you sure do. What? How did it begin for you? Were you working? What was happening?
I was working at the time. I was working as an insurance agent for a major insurance company, and and I tell people all the time, your body more than anybody else. When there's something going on. And so I just got to the point with me being an insurance agent, I had to do really precise things. Everything was about numbers and always being able to talk to the customer, tell them about their coverages, things like that. And all of a sudden, things I had known for over 20 years was beginning to be a mystery to me. Mm-hmm. And I kept going home and telling my husband, I'm not having a good day. Today is not a good day. I didn't do something, or I did do something. He would always say to me, are you forgetting? And I would say, I forgot this, I forgot that. And he would say, write it down. That's all he would tell me, just write it down. I thought, why should I have to write down what this coverage is when I know this coverage? And so that's how it started.
So the things that you ordinarily would know, you started to, and then did you seek medical attention then at some Like at what point did you say, boy, I need to see somebody? Or did someone else tell
Immediately.
you? Oh, immediately.
No,
Oh,
immediately
you're
I
so good.
started because I kept saying to him, I can't remember this. I can't remember that. This little things that I know. It was just not only at work, but at home too. And it was like, this isn't going well.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to, and this is why it becomes a funny thing now, because I started going to my doctor and I kept saying, I'm having a problem. I can't remember this. I can't, I'm just not feeling well. I just felt like, oh my gosh, something was wrong. And my doctor kept saying to me, oh, Athena, it's going to be okay. It's so, you're just not feeling well. People go through changes. And that's how it started. And he was giving me all this medicine. My husband kept saying to me, every time you go to the doctor, you come home with a new medication, but you're not getting any better. And I thought, all right. And then it got to the point where I think I asked my doctor one day about menopause or something like that. And he said to me, and he made a little joke out of it. And I said, all the people that come to you are older people. And how do you know that they're in menopause? And he said, Miss Caston, you're in menopause. And I thought, I'm in menopause? I was only 51. At that point in time, I think I was like 50. I was 50 at that time, maybe 49, something like that. And so it didn't get any better. Like I said, it just didn't get any better. And so he finally said to me, I think it's just menopause. He kept pushing that. He kept telling me I was in menopause. And that's why I was going through these changes. I knew that wasn't the case because I just knew that wasn't the case. So finally I asked to speak to another doctor, and he sent me over to see a neurologist. And because I could pass the test, and I never remember what the name of this test is, where I could do the clock and all that other kind of stuff. He kept saying, Ms. Caston, I can definitely say it's not anything, but I'm going to send you on to a neuropsychiatrist. Well, this had been into almost 4 years, and I was still going through these issues. And I kept saying, something's not right. I knew at that point something wasn't right. But then I started becoming afraid because my father and 6 of his siblings all either were in the process of dying from Alzheimer's or had died from Alzheimer's. And it was so funny. My cousin had a discussion, and we kept saying, do you think we could have it? And he said, oh, no. Then we started saying, well, we'd be tested. And he was like, oh, no. I knew I needed to be tested. So that's where it started.
So, I'm thinking how many people after the first couple times are told, no, it's not anything, would just kind of say, oh, okay, it's menopause, and not pursue that. And then 4 or 5 years, it's a long time to be certain something's going on. That I know that's not unusual for dementia, and Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, but for it to be kind of vague, and it doesn't show up, especially when someone's when the intelligence is higher. Those screening tests that they do initially are pretty basic, and you can compensate and still do pretty good on those, but still have problems, right? It's not the only piece of evidence that a provider looks at to say, oh no, it's not dementia because you passed that test. There are a lot of other things, including what you're saying. When I was a clinician, that was huge. I'd be like, all right, because she would not be coming in here and saying, I have this problem, if this wasn't really a problem for her.
Well, it took, believe it or not, Carmen, it took me to leave my car running in the parking lot at work one day to say, oh no, this is it. This is it. So I left my car running in the parking lot, got home went and worked that 8-hour shift, came back, my car was dead. It was dark in the parking lot. I was like, oh my gosh. It took that for me to say, we definitely need to do something else. So I finally saw the neuropsychiatrist, and he was just as kind. He was a very kind person, but the test that he gave me, was much more intricate than the ones that I had gotten from the first doctor. Very, very intricate.
It's like a whole day, right?
It is. It was several hours of testing. And I thought, and by that time you're tired because you're in there all day. And I was thinking, well, maybe that's whatever. But he told me, and he was very frank at the end. He'd give me some math problems that he said he knew I should be able to do.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't even do them. I had no mindset as to what, I knew right then. And before I even left his office, before he even actually gave me the diagnosis that day, he asked me, I will never forget, to count 30 animals, name 30 animals. And I could not name 30 animals. And he said to me, Miss Caston, I'm not going to make this, I'm not going to tell you what's going on right now. I'm going to do some more studies and then I'll get back with you. 2 months later, almost 3 months later, I got the call from my doctor who said, we need you and your husband to come in. And that's when they gave me the message.
Oh, what a dreaded call. Yeah. There must have been a little relief in there to say, okay, at least we know now what we're dealing with.
Name. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Even though it's not a name you ever want to hear, nobody wants to hear that. It's at least you've got something
to work with. Yep. It put a name to the problem. And people kept saying to me, did you really feel relieved? I think I did. Because I kept thinking, how you get to the point you said, am I dying? You start thinking all the things that's like, really? Do I have this? Do I have that? Yeah. And when he finally said that, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I can understand that. And I'm going to guess that you had no idea at that point in time that you would be a spokesperson for the Alzheimer's Association or be speaking and doing anything that you're doing now, which is a lot. And
I'm so excited about that. I can't even tell you how excited, because it started as something just as simple as working with my local chapter. That's how it started. Well, working with my local chapter. The next thing I know, they asked me to speak at one of the largest venues they have, the Summit, which just went over, and it was like almost 2,000 people there. And at that point, it was like, at that point, it was like, okay, I think I must be saying what people want to hear. And they were asking me to speak around the country at different venues and things. Yeah. And next thing I know, I got on the board of directors for Georgia. And lastly, they said, would you like to be on the national board? And I thought, why me? Me? Yeah. I can still remember the day I got the call. I was so excited. I'm telling you, this has been, the last 2 years has been a whirlwind of stuff that's happening. And I'm so excited because I just want to tell everybody my story. I do. I want everybody to know.
Okay. So why is that? Why do you want people to know?
I want people to know that, the first thing is, and I think I said it earlier, you know your body better than anybody else. You know your body. Now, for people who are getting diagnosed, the numbers for people getting diagnosed at a younger age is going up tremendously day by day. So I need people, number one, to not think that just because you're 51 or 47 or 42 or whatever, there's no way you can have Alzheimer's. That's not true. That is definitely not true. So I need people to know that when it's something that's going on, if you feel like something is wrong, go to the doctor and go until you get some sort of diagnosis. I need people to know that, you know what, just because you get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, it is not the end of the world. It's just a different beginning to doing something different. What I think.
Yeah. And see, and so besides your just effervescent personality, the message that you have to spread is so important, because many people will not, there's so much fear associated with it, understandably, afraid to find out, and will not go for help. Or even culturally, we know culturally that in certain groups, the thought is you don't need to go to the doctor for that. That's just part of normal aging, or whatever the message is. And there's a huge stigma about having cognitive problems. And
yes, definitely.
And it changes a lot of things, because people will treat you different, not meaning to. I just had this epiphany the other day that a part of why our program is, I was so drawn to it. And when the idea came, I'm like, yes, because we're not coming from a place of fear with the big numbers. And, because when people hear numbers and look at the information and think about Alzheimer's, our first thought is to step away, run away, right? It's scary.
It
And I thought,
is.
well, what if we presented that in a way that is, it comes from a place of compassion and understanding that we can get people to actually learn about it and not be so afraid. And that's what you bring also. You bring that every day and everything that you're doing. And
Well, I want people not to be afraid because, and I'm going to be honest with you, Carmen. When I first got the diagnosis in March, I was so, and I'll say like my daughter say, bummed out. I was bummed out because I was thinking, this can't be happening to me. This can't be happening to me. And the only thing you think about is because people do treat you different. People automatically, the first thing people say when they ask me, and we're talking about Alzheimer's, and I say, oh, well, yeah, I've been diagnosed. They go, first thing they say is, oh, no, that's not true. That can't be true. That can't be true. And I'm thinking, yes, it is true. That I have to convince them because they have this idea that I should be something else. They automatically think when they think of a person with Alzheimer's, they think of a person who's number one, older, number two, a Caucasian, male or female, number three, somebody's going to be sitting at home watching TV all day. Right. That's what they think.
And that it's a very, and it's a short course. You get diagnosed and you die shortly after. It's not like for a decade or more, right?
That's what they think.
Yeah, and in fact, what the truth that you're bringing is huge, and it just blows away those assumptions. And I'm sure you've heard it. Well, you don't look like you have Alzheimer's.
And then my question to that is, and what do you think I should look like?
Exactly.
I always ask that same question.
Yeah.
What do you think I should look like? And then they want to say, that can't be. And I'm thinking, it is. I need you to know it is. It's not something that I can change. It's not, but this is who I am. Every day I wake up, it's like, I'm just like you. Am I going to put on makeup today? Am I not going to put on makeup today? Am I going to get dressed today? I'm not sitting at home watching TV all day. I have a part-time job. I do everything I can do. I'm always going to craft stores everywhere. You may see me, and every time you see me, I'm gonna be wearing something purple for Alzheimer's.
Yeah. For Black History Month, one of the things we did as a program, I took a look at the numbers and we're sharing some information, and the difference in diagnosis and and because of the initial diagnosis and the progress of how people are doing and the overall numbers are so mind-boggling for people of color. And do you have an opinion on why you think that is?
We have several, and it's always so strange because I'm always asked that same question. Number one, the first thing I thought about was when I was diagnosed, I didn't want anybody to know. I told you, I just wanted to oh no, I don't want anybody to know this. And then I thought, why? And then it took my baby daughter to explain to me. She's like, Mom, you think that people don't know? People already know. They're just not saying it, but they know. And I thought, okay. But the thing that, Carmen, is this, we grow up in a society that, number one, not having a mental issue, any sort of mental or cognitive issue is already like a stamp, like the big A on your head. That's it. And people automatically want to start treating you different. And people don't want to be treated differently.
Yes.
And then we get to a point where, especially in the African-American community, we were always taught from day one, what's done in my house, better stay in my house. So with that being said, it's like, no, I don't want anybody to know about Mom. I don't know that. Because it's like, I'm ashamed. Because people will tell you, I've had people tell me that more people will tell you they have cancer than they will tell you that they have Alzheimer's. I never understand that. But people will tell you, tell you they have cancer, but they will not say, I have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Because they think that.
Yeah, the stigma. I thought about that a lot and that was part of why even Doggies for Dementia exists. And I thought there was a time, because I spent more than that now, as a nurse and nurse practitioner in the clinics. And I remember the day when breast cancer was considered, it was like people didn't say it out loud when they were diagnosed. Women struggled alone.
Mm-hmm.
Men, forget it. The men that were diagnosed, you never heard any of them ever talk about it. And there was a huge stigma associated with it. And then the word started to get out, and the stories behind it, women like you, like me, like younger, all across the board, is like it could happen to anybody. And the stories draw people in to learn more. And as time went on, it actually became a badge of honor to wear and to say, I'm a breast cancer survivor, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through this now, and the support gathered for women going through it, as it should be, versus struggling on their own and
Yes.
quietly behind closed doors. But it took a huge move to raise the awareness and to do it in a place where people were, again, to
Mm-hmm.
strike us in our hearts, to say, oh my gosh, that's like my best friend. That's like me. That's like my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
we needed to sit up and listen. And that's why I think what you're doing with the Alzheimer's Association and with us today, so thank you so much, in raising awareness is just priceless. And to say, hey,
And that's what I want. And that's what I want people to say. I want people to feel just like I want people to say, you know what? I have Alzheimer's. Just like I say every day. I want people to say, just like you said, I have
mm-hmm,
Alzheimer's, but you know what? I'm living joyfully with it every day.
mm-hmm,
Because just because you've gotten a diagnosis does not mean, and I can't say that enough, does not mean, even though there is no cure presently at this present moment,
presently. Mm-hmm,
does not mean that tomorrow you got that diagnosis. Because the first thing the doctor tells you, we're even going down into the medical schools now and saying, when you get a patient, stop telling them, go home and get your house in order.
right.
Like, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Don't tell me
Yes.
that, because that's exactly that's
Yeah.
all I could hear my doctor saying to
Mm-hmm.
me was, and he said it several times, you need to go home and get your house in order. And I thought, am I dying tomorrow? That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we've learned so much more, even in 5 years, Arthena. But I will tell you, there's still a lack of that information out there. Even well, so
Mm-hmm.
I will say it was even 15 years ago. So it was even longer. I worked with a physician, and I was starting to learn more about it. And he said, you can send them for tests and things, but they're already like in their 70s, and it's not going to make a difference because there's no
Mm-hmm.
cure. So why make them
Mm-hmm.
feel worse about it? We'll just treat them as if they do have that, but we won't pursue the testing or even get a proper diagnosis. And through the years now, we have all kinds of studies out there, clinical trials. There's all the pieces about raising awareness. There's the
Mm-hmm.
benefits for families that have a long way to go, but they're starting, they're getting there, right? And
Yes.
there's just so
Mm-hmm.
many benefits for that early diagnoses now, and and also like for you, once you knew there was something not right,
Mm-hmm.
you knew it was validation, and now what? And then you made that, I say you're the accidental activist too, advocate.
I
Yeah.
am.
I
I tell my husband, I said, I will talk to people. I don't care if it's in the beauty shop, in the barber shop, in the street. I don't care where. I will tell anybody, listen,
mhm,
let's work with this. We have to push and
mhm,
say, let's make Alzheimer's what cancer was before.
mhm.
Let's do that, because I met a young lady, she got diagnosed with early onset over 20 years ago. And she is
Really?
still as sharp as a tack. And I'm like, when I first met her, I was thinking, really?
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
said, yeah. And I thought, so it's not saying it's a death sentence. It's not.
Right. Right.
This.
Yeah. True. And I've had a guest on, Ron Nevelo, who's a licensed clinical social worker and works with people with dementia, and also like mild cognitive impairment. So where maybe it'll get worse for them, but maybe not, in ways to with brain health. These are the things you need to do for brain health that can make a huge difference on the progress of how things go for people. So yeah, it's not just a stamp like it's over, and yeah, like just what you said, go get your affairs in order.
And go get your affairs in order.
Hurts my heart.
It does. It
hurts
this
my
time, because
heart.
my husband was doing all the talking. At the conference, you know, if you talked to me before, I talk a lot. My husband always teases me, said I will talk to a door if it would talk back. He always tells me that. I'm like, hey, that's not nice, but he always says that. And I'm thinking that day that the doctor gave me the diagnosis, I just sat there. I just sat there, and he was doing all the talking, and I was thinking, wow, that's all I could think. But I'm telling you.
Yeah. And look at how many people you're helping now. Yeah. And that too, your example for a lot of people, but certainly for people of color too, to say, okay, Arthena's doing that. This is changing her life, and it could change theirs too. And that's
what I want to do.
Change. I know you do.
If it's one person at a time, Carmen, if it's one person at a time, I will tell them. And I'm so excited. When I got into a group the other day, we started out with 3 members. We now have like 15, and they're all African Americans with Alzheimer's, living beautifully every day. And you know, we all know, and as with all groups that I'm in, some days are going to be hiccups. You're not going to be. It's not always going to be a great day,
right?
But you know, I say this every day, and people always laugh when I say it, but I have this great affirmation, and it says, if I wake up in the morning and I know my name and I know what today is, it's going to be a great day. And I believe that. And I tell people that. Yeah. So that's what I want people to know. Just because you, especially as an African American, you have to pursue if you wake up and you don't feel good. You know, when you go to the doctor, take someone with you, so that they can also hear what you're hearing. Because sometimes you don't hear the same thing that they may be hearing.
That's the case with or without Alzheimer's, for sure. Yeah, we all hear.
So those are things that you have to do, and make sure, you know, just don't stop at the one thing that my doctor kept saying. I had a menopause. If my husband says to me, Arthena, if you had just stopped there, just think where you probably would be now.
Right. Absolutely. And we have no way of knowing, but I know from the clinical standpoint, had you not known and done what you've done for yourself, the outcome would most likely be much different and much worse.
It would be. Common. I know.
Yeah. And, you know, I know providers are out there doing their best, and the diagnosis, especially in the beginning, it's so vague. And it could be caused by a variety of things. Anxiety. We have a lot of worries. We have a lot on our minds. We can't keep straight. Menopause it can cause kind of a brain fog of sorts. But, you know, I think it goes back to you knew something's not right here. And with your family history also, that should have been a huge red flag to say, yeah, no, we need to look at this a little bit differently also.
But he didn't. He couldn't see. And I don't really blame him, because I think I had been a patient, because he had been my doctor for like 18 years. But because I think I was so young, he just couldn't see it. He couldn't see it. You know, and he kept saying, I think it's your thyroid, because I had my thyroid. He's like, maybe it's your thyroid. And we kept going back and forth to the thyroid issue. And I kept saying, this isn't working. This is not working. So you know what? As I said, I wasn't surprised at the diagnosis. I didn't want to get it, but you know what? I got it, and it's still okay. It's still okay.
Yeah,
it really is.
And I imagine there's days that you really need to work on the, I gotta say, like everybody, Arthena, there's days we wake up and go, okay, I really just want to feel kind of bad today. I just need to wallow in this a little bit. And I thought about that this morning. I last year about this time, I was diagnosed with cancer. It was like at the middle of March, and the pandemic is upon us, and the social distancing. In fact, the day I had biopsies done, was the last day that I could attend any in-person gatherings. And so I'm going through this from a distance by myself, right? And you know what? I had surgery. I'm good. The chances of it ever coming back are really slim. But even so, if I get a stitch in my side or I feel something that's not quite, my first thought is, oh my goodness, I hope it's not coming back. And I have
Mhm.
very little chance of that happening. And so I thought about you and I thought, what would it be like to know you have Alzheimer's, you're going along really well, and then you have a day that's not quite so like quite as good as the one before. What goes through, because you're really a positive lady, but what does it
It
feel
can be
like?
depressing. It can be depressing.
Yeah.
It can draw me into a depression. It really can. Because if I want to, I always tell people, don't text me. I'd rather you call me, because me trying to text takes forever, because
Ah.
my spelling is like, oh my gosh, all over the place sometimes. And I have to Google every word or ask Alexa, can you
Oh.
tell me this? And that's just like, and then
Oh.
once it spells it for me, I thought, I could have spelled that word. Or even if something simple as if I want to cook a meal,
Uh-huh.
and I was supposed to put the oven on 375 and I put on 350, and I'm like, it's been cooking a long time and it's still not done. And I think, gosh, those are things that make me think it's getting a little worse. It's getting a
Mm-hmm.
little worse. But
Right.
then, I think back to, I can't control that.
Mm-hmm.
So why even let it bother me to that point? That's what I
Right.
have Google for. That's what I have my Alexa for. I can't,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, the one thing I've always, when I was growing up, Carmen, always loved to do is I love to read. I've
Uh-huh.
lost that reading ability now,
Oh.
because if I read something and I get to the next paragraph, I've probably forgotten what I read before. So now I use Audible or something like that. There's always a way around something.
Mm-hmm.
And if I
Mm-hmm.
wake up and I can't cook, I just call my husband and say, "Can you bring in something?" Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in the fog. I'm having a fog day. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
can say is I'm having a fog day. So
Mm-hmm.
all days, I'll be the first one to say, all days are not perfect. They are
Uh-huh.
not perfect by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think that's important to say. And then I want to bring it around to what you just mentioned it. You say, okay, I'm having a bad day. I acknowledge it. I look out, get some help when you need it, like call your husband, bring some food. And then, I imagine with you too, you must have some ways that you talk, how you talk to yourself, or you mentioned groups, that you belong to some groups, and what things help. I,
having someone to tell you the problem that you're going through, that they're going through too.
uh,
That is I'm telling you, I have a group. It's called the Early Stage Advisory Group, and I met them in the Alzheimer's Association.
mm-hmm.
We're like, it was 9 of us that got picked, and we are still like brothers and sisters. We share a meeting every Wednesday. It's the best support group I've ever been in, because we could talk about, anybody's like, well, is this going on with you? So if you have someone that you can share whatever's
Uh-huh.
going on with you with someone else, because even though I can talk, and I thought about this last night when we were in the group talking, I can try and tell my husband something that's going on with me, but he actually can't understand,
Right.
because he doesn't have Alzheimer's. So
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't. So that's why I said sometimes when you go to a doctor and you're trying to tell them, they're trying to understand, but they can't, because they have never had Alzheimer's. Or
That's
even,
right.
how you go and they say, well, what's the pain level?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't understand that pain level that you're going through,
No.
especially if you're a woman and you're having some pain issue and whatever, unless
Uh-huh.
they're a woman. So
Right.
it's like that.
Yeah.
So the groups that I'm in, all the support groups that I'm in, I'm in this group called Black Dementia Minds, with several other groups, but those groups all understand, because they all have Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we
Yes.
welcome people in to all those groups and say, you know what? Get someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Get someone to talk to.
I think that might be one of the best pieces of advice, because when bad things happen, or troubling things happen, or challenging things happen, our first thought is, it's just me. I'm all alone, especially now during pandemic time. But I think that was ongoing when it came to dementia, and partially because of the stigma and other things. But when you hear, and in fact, even when I was writing my book, there's 13 families. And one of the common threads was, I don't think other people, no one else can understand, because they felt they were the only ones until they heard other people say the same thing. And what a blessing that was to say, oh my gosh, okay, I'm not alone. So I love that. I love that. What great advice for all of us too, because everybody has some.
You are so far from being alone. You'd be surprised. You are so far from being alone. And as I said, even when I would be so honest, even when my father had the Alzheimer's, I never reached into like the Alzheimer's groups or anything like that, because I just didn't actually feel like it was really happening. You know, even though you knew it was happening, you didn't see it happening. And then all of a sudden it was me.
Right.
And I honestly say, if I had not gotten up and said, you know what, let me go to the local office, let me talk to people, let them help me. My husband always says, and he means it from his heart, he always says, if it wasn't for that, Arthena, I think you probably would have been in your bed right now watching TV. He always tells me that. I love Leave It to Beaver. And he is out there watching Leave It to Beaver all day.
Leave It to Beaver. Yeah, and plus it gives you a mission, something that you feel strongly about, and you know you're helping so many people. And honestly, there are, you know, to get, for those of us who aren't experiencing it, and for families who are trying to understand their loved one and what they're going through, to have someone who can help explain it, because some people with dementia can't explain it, but you can. And to hear someone explain what it's like, and probably your husband too, what it's like for him as well, is really an inside view that most people wouldn't get otherwise. And
I tell people I'm so fortunate to have my husband. I'm so fortunate. God knows. I thank God every day, because he is not my caregiver, but my care partner. And he is there for me. And even I know some days he just wants to just say, would you please just he's still saying, I am here for you. He tells me that every day. And that karma is like, I can't even explain it to you. So if you are a care partner or caregiver, whatever the case is, put yourself in a group. Please don't try to do it by yourself, because you cannot do it by yourself. You cannot. You need that help. You need that free time sometimes just to say,
can we talk? Right? Just kind of, can I just unload for just a minute? Right?
People call me all the time who are caregivers, and they'll say, and I said, I can't tell you the role of a caregiver, but I can tell you, I'll even sometimes let my husband say, you know, I understand what you're going through. So I've met people on both sides of the coin. My mom was a caregiver for my father for the longest. And there was so many times she was just like done. But she felt like that was her role as the wife, and that's what she did. So my husband says the same thing. He has always told me, he said, you know what? We did an article a while back, Carmen, and he said, and I think that one of the questions was why, you know, how do you feel about this thing with this? And he said, I do it for my wife because I know if the same had happened, she would do it for me.
Oh, what a guy.
And so he is, everybody that meets him says the same thing. What a guy. I told you,
what a guy.
For me.
Yes. Well, you did send me a picture of you guys with your one of your dog, two of your dogs, right? Two dogs. Yes, which is beautiful. And this video blog will also become a blog on our website, and those pictures will be there. And also December, I just can't thank you enough, Arthena, what you're doing, and to hear and to come in to reach out to our audience as well. And it's really a delight, and your spirit is infectious. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited that you even, you know, chose me to be on your show. I can't tell you. I have been telling people for a week or so, I'm going to be on Doggies with Dementia. I'm going to be, and it was like, really?
What
Be
is
the
that?
dogs, I'm thinking, yeah, be the dogs, we're gonna be the dogs. And just so people are just, they're just so tickled. It's like, you get so excited. I just have to be excited because there go my doggy right there looking at me.
Yeah, well, I've been just as tickled because actually one of our board members, Brandy Kendrick, said, I know someone who might be interested. And I'm like, I'm going to reach out. And then you said, just go ahead and let's talk instead of text, right? Now I like to be on Messenger. I'm like, fine. And I just said, oh my gosh, I just love her. I just
try
love
to
you.
be.
I just do. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
want people to always remember me like that. My husband always asks me, when do you want people not to see you anymore or talk, that type thing. And I said, as long as I can talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. As long as, because I want people not to be ashamed. If I could do anything, I don't want people to be ashamed.
Right. Yeah.
Because if they're not ashamed, that's what the whole issue is. People are ashamed.
Right. Of what others are going to think about them and about just all of it. And what a beautiful, I'm going to close with that because what a beautiful gift you're bringing for all of us. And you had no idea, the accidental activist right there. No idea that,
That's definitely what it is. Accident. But I'm telling you, Carmen, I thank you for even taking time to give me a call today, videotape. I just want to let you know, thank you for even helping me get my story out. Yes. And let people know, what, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, we're just beginning. Yeah. So there's that.
You are too cute.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Watch for the blog because there will even be some more information on that. And then we'll catch you next week. Take care. Okay.